Chosen one, heaven is celebrating right now, and you are the reason why. The breakthrough you've been praying for didn't just arrive. It caused an eruption of joy in the spiritual realm that shook the very foundations of eternity. Stop what you're doing and listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see everything that's been happening in your life. You didn't stumble across this message. You were led here by divine orchestration. Do you know what it takes to make the creator of the universe celebrate? Do you understand the magnitude of what you've accomplished that has angels singing your name? If you dismiss what's coming next, you'll miss the most important revelation about your destiny and the flood of favor that's already been released in your direction. This isn't just another video. This is heaven's announcement to you, delivered at the exact moment your spirit needed to hear it. You are not here by accident. What's coming in this message will expose the exact reason heaven erupted in celebration over your life. But first, you need to understand that your faithfulness in the small things has already unlocked something massive in the spiritual realm. Press the like button if you're ready to receive what heaven is speaking. Your action amplifies this word and helps it find others whose souls are crying out for direction. What's on your heart today? Leave your prayer request in the comments and then take a moment to lift someone else up with words of encouragement. The power of prayer is multiplied in unity. Drop your request, pray for someone else, and let the blessings flow back into your life. And to our dear channel members, your monthly support means the world. May the Lord bless you abundantly for your generosity and heart. Comment 888 as a prophetic act that declares, I receive God's infinite provision and new beginnings in this season. Have you ever just stopped for a breath? Really pausing in the midst of life's relentless current and allowed your heart to ponder those moments when you pushed through, when you persevered with a quiet strength. And honestly, no one else in your world even knew the true weight of what you were carrying. I'm speaking of those profound, solitary hours that stretch into the deep, late nights where you knelt, or perhaps simply lay there, pouring out your soul in prayer until the tears, hot and undeniable, streamed down your face, leaving trails on your pillow. Or maybe it was the seemingly insignificant choices, moments of integrity often invisible to others, where you chose to do the right thing, to stand on truth, even when it felt like that choice would cost you everything you held dear, or demand a sacrifice that felt unbearable in the moment. And what about the incredibly difficult, almost superhuman, silent forgiveness you extended from the deepest chambers of your heart to someone who had wounded you profoundly, a raw and agonizing hurt, someone who might not even be aware of the immense spiritual gift you offered, who might not even know they were in desperate need of it? It's so incredibly easy, isn't it, to fall into the quiet despair that these moments, these fierce battles fought in the hidden, sacred places of your life, simply dissipate into thin air, vanishing without a trace, unacknowledged, utterly unseen by any human eye. But here, right now, is a truth that can absolutely shatter that misconception and radically transform the way you perceive every single struggle you've endured. Heaven, in its infinite wisdom and loving attentiveness, was keeping a detailed, meticulous, and profoundly compassionate record of every single one of those precious moments. Not one tear was wasted, not one whisper unheard. The bustling world, with its loud demands for external validation, its insatiable hunger for what is visible, tangible, and immediately applause-worthy, might never have truly seen the true, immeasurable price you paid in those private arenas. People, caught up in their own journeys, might not have offered applause, or even a fleeting glance of recognition for the quiet sacrifices you made, the burdens you shouldered in silence. But in the spiritual realm, the very fabric of eternity, the scene was entirely gloriously different. Heaven didn't merely cast a casual glance over your struggles. Oh no, the living God counted every single act of selflessness, every singular choice for righteousness, every quiet, glistening tear that fell, every whispered prayer that ascended, not as fleeting trifles, but as precious, potent seeds. Imagine this beautiful truth for a moment. You, in your moments of hidden struggle and unwavering faithfulness, were diligently sowing those seeds into sacred ground, into the very soil of divine promise, ground that carries an unbreakable guarantee of a future harvest. Even while you were wrestling with the insistent whispers of doubt, questioning whether your faithfulness truly held any weight, whether all that agonizing effort and searing pain would ever blossom into anything meaningful, angels, swift and magnificent, were already being dispatched from the throne room of God. They were given specific, divine assignments because of your radical obedience, because of the posture of your heart. The very heavens themselves, the spiritual atmosphere that envelops your life, began to subtly, powerfully shift and rearrange themselves, aligning on your behalf. The angels were not waiting for your perfection. They were responding to your heart. So that stirring, that profound feeling that's starting to rise within you, that subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the spiritual air around you, that nascent sense of a breakthrough finally bubbling up, breaking through the surface like fresh spring water, the unexpected favor that's suddenly finding its way to you, showing up in utterly surprising and often bewildering ways that you could never have orchestrated or even anticipated. This is not, my friend, just a lucky break, nor is it a random stroke of good fortune or mere coincidence. No, this is the very real, the truly tangible and utterly undeniable harvest of your hidden obedience. It is the exquisite fruit, now ripe for the picking, of those seeds you so faithfully planted when no one else was watching, when the darkness of night felt deepest and the silence loudest. It is the living, breathing proof that your unseen faithfulness, that deep, quiet resolve, was in fact the most powerful and significant thing you could have ever done, stirring the very heart of God. You see, a multitude of precious souls become deeply stuck, truly agonizingly mired, because they mistakenly embrace the pervasive belief that celebration, true recognition, only arrives with public acknowledgement. They are convinced that the reward for their tireless hard work, their unwavering devotion, their steadfast faithfulness, is somehow held in abeyance, delayed indefinitely, until the resounding applause finally begins, until someone else in the earthly realm sees it, understands it, and publicly acknowledges its worth. But the kingdom of heaven, the eternal realm in which we are truly called to live, operates by an entirely different set of rules, an ancient and beautiful code altogether. It is not about the deafening roar of the crowd's cheer. It is, profoundly, about God's tender, affirming whisper, a sound far more precious than any earthly acclaim. It's about the knowing nod of the one who matters most, the smile of the Father over his child. Do you remember, truly remember, the profound and poignant story of David? He was chosen, anointed by the venerable prophet Samuel, destined to be the next king of Israel, an incredible world-changing destiny laid out before him, filled with grandeur and leadership. But what precisely happened immediately after that magnificent anointing? He wasn't instantly crowned, wasn't immediately ushered onto a magnificent throne in a bustling palace. Instead, remarkably, he was sent right back to the lonely, dusty, sun-baked fields to tend to a flock of seemingly ordinary sheep. Can you even begin to imagine that? Chosen for unimaginable greatness, yet relegated to what felt like utter obscurity, a life of quiet anonymity. But here lies the profound key, the sacred secret. It was during those long, seemingly insignificant, utterly ordinary years in the wilderness, faithfully tending his flock with unyielding dedication, worshipping God with his harp when no one else was listening but the silent stars and the rustling wind, bravely fighting off formidable lions and ferocious bears to protect his vulnerable sheep, that his character was forged in the crucible of solitude, his courage was honed to a sharp edge, and his deep, intimate, unshakable connection with God was meticulously cultivated. This unwavering faithfulness in obscurity, his deeply private devotion, is what truly attracted heaven's thunderous celebration, what ignited the divine commendation long before anyone on earth saw his true inherent value or began to grasp the magnificent scope of his destiny. And just like David, my dear friend, your private victories, those battles you fought and won in the stillness of your own heart, in the quiet solitude of your personal walk, those hidden moments of profound devotion, those courageous choices to do good, to act with love and integrity, even when they passed completely unnoticed by the world, have actually caused a glorious commotion, a divine uproar in the heavenly courts. God literally, truly, actively celebrates your unseen obedience. He never, not ever, overlooks the unseen yes you whisper to him, that quiet, heartfelt agreement you make with his divine will when it's just you and him, alone in the quiet of your spirit. He sees it all, every single intention, every pure motive, every effort, and he rejoices over it with an unparalleled joy that echoes through the cosmos. He isn't waiting for you to achieve some impossible standard of perfection or for the world to finally validate your worth. No, he is celebrating your beautiful, obedient heart right now, in this very moment. He is celebrating your growth, your willingness to trust, your courage to keep going. Sometimes some of the most powerful, life-altering breakthroughs we experience don't come from frantically searching for every single answer, trying desperately to intellectually dissect and figure everything out with our minds. Instead, they happen, often unexpectedly, when we learn to simply stop, to quiet the relentless clamor of the world and the insistent chatter of our own thoughts, and begin the sacred practice of sitting patiently with revelation. It's not about diligently finding more information, it's about allowing truth, profound, life-giving truth, to gently, deeply settle within the very core of your spirit, to permeate every fiber of your being and transform you from the inside out. It's a sudden, beautiful moment of crystalline clarity that washes over you like a refreshing wave, a profound and sudden understanding that clicks into place within your soul, illuminating what was once dark or confused. If that very idea of receiving pure revelation, that deeper, more profound spiritual understanding, truly resonates with something ancient and longing inside you, then I want to tell you about something I believe, with every fiber of my being, could be your next powerful step forward on this sacred journey. It's an ebook I've poured my heart into called The 10 Hidden Truths of Jesus Parables. This isn't just another book you'll read and forget. It's specifically designed to be a short, intensely powerful guide that truly opens up incredibly practical, spirit-led truths that Jesus himself taught through his profound and timeless parables. We're talking about insights that directly and powerfully apply to real-life areas that matter deeply to us all, like our relationship with money and abundance, the journey to true healing of body and soul, and the pursuit of amazing emotional clarity in a world often filled with confusion. These are truths that are right there, patiently waiting for us within the sacred pages of the Bible, but sometimes, in our human limitation, we simply need a little compassionate guidance, a little divine illumination, to see them with fresh, spirit-opened eyes. It's meant to be a potent tool, a gentle catalyst, to help you receive revelation in a very practical, actionable way, integrating it into the tapestry of your daily life. The link to effortlessly get your copy is waiting for you right there in the very first comment below this video. Just a gentle heads up though, it's only available for a limited time because we want to ensure its impact is deeply felt. So if it feels like something truly meant for you, don't wait too long to seize this divine opportunity. Now, let's turn our attention to where you find yourself, right here, right now, in this very moment. I truly believe, with an unwavering conviction, that there is a unique, wide-open window, a specific divine portal situated directly over your life at this very moment. It's a special season, a divine invitation whispered from the heart of God, a kairos moment ripe with possibility. But here's the crucial thing, the profound pivot. Stepping courageously through that window into the expansive newness God has for you requires you to consciously begin walking differently, thinking with a renewed mind, and expecting radically differently from this moment onward. It's not merely an external change, it's about a deep internal shift in your very posture, in the way your spirit holds itself before God and the world. The very first step in this new season, perhaps the single most crucial and foundational one, is to actively, decisively break agreement with every single voice, whether it emanates from within your own mind or from the external whispers of the world that has ever tried to convince you that your journey was insignificant, that your heartfelt efforts didn't truly matter, or that you were in any way somehow not enough, not worthy, not capable. You are not, let me declare this truth with unwavering conviction, you are not defined by silence or by invisibility or by the heartbreaking perception that no one truly saw what you were doing, what you were enduring. Absolutely every single act of faith you've made, no matter how tiny, how hidden, how utterly insignificant it seemed to you in the moment of your struggle, was magnified exponentially before the very presence of God. It was not only seen, but it was cherished with an eternal love, and it was meticulously recorded in heaven's indelible books, etched into the fabric of time and eternity. Coming up next, we're going to dive into another powerful, often overlooked step, one that most people, out of fear or habit, tend to avoid. But trust me, it's the one that truly dramatically changes everything, absolutely everything in your life. Next, I want you to take a deliberate moment, a deep, cleansing breath, and consciously name the specific pattern, that persistent, nagging feeling or corrosive thought that has tirelessly tried to convince your spirit that your heartfelt prayers somehow stopped abruptly at the ceiling, never piercing the veil. Perhaps you've been burdened by the heavy, disheartening sensation that you're just talking to an empty room, that your earnest words are simply dissipating into the ether, going nowhere, reaching no one. It's that familiar, crushing feeling of discouragement that descends when you pray with all your might and don't immediately witness tangible results, or when, with cruel irony, things seem to spiral downwards, worsening instead of miraculously improving. Remember that iconic, powerful moment when Jesus was on the boat with his disciples, and a furious, terrifying storm arose from seemingly nowhere, threatening to swamp and utterly destroy them? He didn't just stand there idly, hoping against hope that the tempest would mercifully pass. No, he actually, with commanding authority, rebuked the storm itself. He wasn't doing that because he harbored any doubt about God's omnipresent presence or his infinite power. He did it to unequivocally expose a pervasive lie, the insidious lie that his authority, and by extension, our authority when we are in him, was somehow confined only to calm, easy, predictable seasons, to the placid waters of life. He showed us, in that powerful act, that our God-given authority is not and never will be dependent on our fluctuating circumstances, on the chaos that swirls around us. That feeling of agonizing delay, that heavy, suffocating blanket of discouragement that tries to smother your hope, those persistent, painful patterns that seem to relentlessly repeat in your life are utterly exposed and decisively broken when you make the courageous, defiant choice to stand firm in faith, regardless of the immediate, overwhelming evidence staring you directly in the face. It's about learning to speak directly to your situation, not merely about it with a voice full of conviction, and choosing with resolute determination to believe God's living, active word over what your physical eyes see, what your ears hear, or what your fluctuating emotions feel. It's like standing firm against a gale-force wind, bracing yourself with unwavering certainty, knowing deep in your spirit that eventually, inevitably, the wind, the circumstance, will have to yield to the authority of the one who spoke it into being within you. As you continue to embark on this beautiful, transformative journey, venturing deeper and deeper into the heart of God, one of the most profoundly liberating things you can possibly do is to consciously, decisively silence that incredibly loud, insidious, soul-crushing voice of comparison. In our hyper-connected, image-driven world today, it's so tragically easy to get completely caught up in ceaselessly looking at what everyone else appears to be doing, how effortlessly successful they seem, how many fleeting likes or virtual followers they've accumulated, or what seemingly advanced stage of life or spiritual progress they're in. But heaven, the glorious eternal kingdom of God, absolutely does not measure your true impact, your eternal worth, by your likes, your shares, or your follower count. Those transient metrics simply do not matter, not one iota in the grand eternal scheme of things. The only metric that truly matters, the only thing God is truly, lovingly looking at, is the pure posture of your heart and the consistency of your obedience. The enemy, the great deceiver, loves nothing more than to cunningly throw out a counterfeit message, a subtle but toxic lie. He tirelessly tries to convince you that you're somehow late to the party of blessing, that you're hopelessly behind, or that you're desperately lacking something critically important that everyone else seems to possess. He whispers with chilling conviction that everyone else has it completely together, that they are perfectly poised for success while you are somehow floundering. But God, the master of time and eternity, does not operate on our frantic, anxious human timelines. He measures seasons, not fleeting seconds. He knows precisely where you are on your unique, divinely appointed journey, and He has a perfect, magnificent plan for your one-of-a-kind life. Your season of breakthrough is undeniably coming, and it is arriving precisely on time, perfectly aligned with His impeccable divine plan for you. Coming up, we're actually going to identify a deeply hidden habit, a subtle inclination that might be unknowingly feeding some of that frustrating delay in your life, and then crucially, we'll explore how to address it head-on with courage and grace. Let's talk about the profound power of obedience for a moment. It sounds deceptively simple, perhaps even mundane, but it is, in truth, incredibly powerful and transformative. Choose to obey quickly, without hesitation, when you hear that gentle, yet persistent, inner nudge. What exactly do I mean by the nudge? It's that quiet, almost imperceptible prompting in your spirit, that strong, undeniable impression that rises within you, that sudden, brilliant idea that sparks in your mind, or even a particular Bible verse that just jumps out at you with fresh personal meaning, as if it were written just for you in that moment. It is God's gentle, loving, often unmistakable whisper to your soul. Think about the patriarch Abraham, the father of faith. When God called him to embark on a journey to a place he didn't even know, a land completely unfamiliar and unseen, he didn't hesitate for a moment, didn't question or delay. The Bible beautifully records that he rose early in immediate, unwavering obedience to go to the place of divine promise. He had absolutely no idea what the ultimate outcome would be, where precisely he was going, or how any of it would miraculously work out. But he chose, with radical faith, to simply trust the one who called him, the God he knew, deep in his heart, was utterly faithful and true to his every word. Every single time you choose to obey, even when it feels like stepping off a cliff, even without having all the answers meticulously laid out before you, even when it feels a little scary or profoundly uncertain, you are taking a powerful, monumental step forward. You are moving closer and closer with each act of surrender to that glorious eruption of breakthrough, that divine unleashing that has already begun to stir and rumble in the spiritual realm, specifically for you. It's like turning a key in a complex, intricate lock. Each small act of obedience unlocks the next crucial piece of the divine puzzle, slowly but surely bringing you closer to seeing the full, majestic picture of God's perfect plan unfold before your very eyes. It doesn't just unlock, it builds incredible momentum in the spirit, gathering speed and power with every faithful step. Now, here's something that most people truly misunderstand, and it's a big, often overlooked one. If you genuinely desire to step into your next season, into the glorious new thing God has meticulously prepared for you, you absolutely, unequivocally must be willing to let go of comfort. And sometimes, admitting this truth can be a really tough pill to swallow, a bitter taste on the tongue. Comfort, in its deceptive warmth, can become a subtle, insidious trap, a seemingly cozy blanket that, in reality, keeps us from courageously moving into the powerful, often challenging, but ultimately far more fulfilling and purposeful place God so desperately longs for us to be. When God called the young Elisha to follow the mighty prophet Elijah and become his successor, to step into the mantle of a prophet, Elisha didn't just pack a small bag with a few provisions. The Bible tells us something truly radical. He burned his plows. He quite literally destroyed his means of going back to his old life, his old profession, his old familiar comfort zone. He left no safe path, no easy retreat, back to the familiar, to the predictable and the comfortable. This act is incredibly profound, a deep spiritual lesson for us all. What you refuse to truly kill, what you stubbornly cling to from your old season or your old way of thinking, you are then tragically forced to manage. And managing old patterns, old comforts, old worn-out mindsets takes up an incredible, debilitating amount of precious energy, invaluable time, and vital focus that could otherwise be joyfully directed toward wholeheartedly embracing the magnificent new thing God is doing. It's like trying to drive a car forward with the parking brake firmly engaged. You're expending immense effort, burning fuel and energy, but you're simply not going anywhere fast, not truly moving forward. What are the plows in your life right now that God might be gently, lovingly asking you to release, to metaphorically burn? It could be deeply ingrained old habits, insidious limiting beliefs about yourself or God, unhealthy relationships that drain your spirit, or even just a subtle mindset of scarcity that keeps you from believing in God's abundance. Coming up, we're going to dive even deeper into the specific, powerful move that truly accelerates momentum in your spiritual journey, helping you shed, once and for all, what's quietly but powerfully holding you back. Another incredibly vital step on this journey of transformation is to absolutely refuse, with every fiber of your being, to rehearse your wounds. We have all, without exception, been hurt. We have all, in our human experience, felt the sharp sting of betrayals, the crushing weight of disappointments, the searing injustice of being wronged. And it's so heartbreakingly easy, so natural, so deeply ingrained in our human nature to replay those painful scenarios endlessly in our minds, to constantly revisit the raw, throbbing pain, to nurture the festering offense, allowing it to take root and grow. But look at the incredible example of Joseph, a man who endured unimaginable betrayal and suffering. He didn't rise to a position of immense power and influence, a throne in Egypt, by carrying the heavy offenses of the pit, by clinging to the bitter, corrosive resentment of being betrayed by his own brothers and then wrongly imprisoned. No, he rose by consciously and courageously releasing what tried to utterly break him. He chose to forgive, to trust God's unwavering sovereignty even in the darkest valleys, and to walk in the magnificent purpose God had meticulously prepared for him despite the lingering pain. Healing, true, profound, soul-deep healing, often begins the very moment you consciously and intentionally stop giving yesterday permission to define today. Your past experiences, no matter how profoundly painful or traumatic, do not, under any circumstance, get to dictate your present reality or limit your future potential. When you refuse to rehearse the wounds, when you choose to release the grip of past hurts, you create sacred space, an expansive vacuum for God to bring forth profound restoration, unexpected breakthroughs, and beautiful new life into your existence. It's like bravely turning the page on a painful, sorrowful chapter and beginning, with fresh hope, to courageously write a beautiful, exhilarating new one, filled with grace and promise. And speaking of releasing things, let's talk about something truly counterintuitive, something that goes against our natural inclinations, but is incredibly freeing and powerfully transformative. Bless those who misunderstood you, those who wronged you, those who judged you unfairly, those who spoke ill of you. This is incredibly tough, isn't it? Our natural primal inclination is to fiercely defend ourselves, to lash out in anger, or to simply cut them off completely from our lives. But remember the unparalleled example of Jesus. In one of the most humble, yet profoundly powerful acts of love ever witnessed, he washed the feet of Judas, the very disciple who was, in that same moment, about to betray him to his death. That level of radical, unconditional love, that astonishing willingness to serve and bless even those who intend you harm, breaks spiritual chains, not only in their lives, but most importantly, in your own life. It breaks the chains of bitterness, the suffocating grip of resentment, and the constant draining need for human validation. When you choose, with courageous intentionality, to bless those who hurt or misunderstood you, you are not, let me be clear, condoning their harmful actions or excusing their behavior. You are simply, powerfully releasing yourself from the crushing burden of carrying that offense, that hurt, that emotional weight. And here's the beautiful, miraculous part. It wholeheartedly invites God's divine vindication to powerfully manifest over your life. You don't need to frantically defend yourself, to desperately prove your worth to anyone, or to constantly seek human approval or validation. God himself steps in his perfect timing and beautifully defends you. He validates you, he champions you, and his validation is, in the vast expanse of eternity, the only one that truly, eternally counts. He is your ultimate defender, your perfect vindicator. It's also crucial, truly vital, to release your self-imposed timelines. We all have them, don't we? Those internal, often unspoken deadlines we meticulously set for God. I need this job by this specific age. I need to be married by this particular year. I need this breakthrough, this miracle to happen by then, or it won't matter. We often, in our finite understanding, try to control the intricate how and the precise when of God's magnificent promises for our lives. But think about the quiet, unwavering faith of Mary, the mother of Jesus. She had received an incredible, world-altering promise, a direct, divine word spoken over her life and her precious family, a promise of a son who would be the savior of the world. But then she stood with a broken heart at the foot of the cross, watching her beloved son die a horrific death, an event that seemed to contradict every promise. She waited for resurrection, not by desperately controlling the outcome, not by manipulating events or forcing her will, but by deeply, radically trusting the profound promise that had been spoken over her life. She waited in faith, in a posture of profound surrender, even when everything in the natural realm looked like it had gone terribly, irrevocably wrong. When you surrender your human timelines, when you consciously release the need to control how and when God is going to move in your life, you create the necessary room, the expansive spiritual space for the suddenly of God. That's when things shift unexpectedly, miraculously, and often much faster, much more powerfully than you could have ever orchestrated or imagined on your own. It's about truly living by profound faith, trusting implicitly, knowing deep in your spirit that God's timing is always, without exception, perfect, even when it doesn't align with our impatient human expectations. Let go of the frantic need to control the clock, to dictate the pace, and simply watch with awe and wonder what the sovereign God chooses to do. Now let's bravely confront something tricky, something often cloaked in deceptive garments, the subtle, pervasive root of fear, often cunningly disguised as wisdom or prudence. This is a particularly subtle one, my friend, because fear, in its cleverness, can be incredibly deceptive. mimicking what seems like sound judgment. Sometimes, what you carefully label as being cautious, as being prudent or wise in your decision-making, is actually just giving fear subtle, insidious permission to set your boundaries, to limit your potential, and to dictate the scope of your life. It's the quiet voice that insidiously whispers, "Don't try that, it's too risky, you might fail," or "Stay safe, stay small, don't step out of your comfortable zone," when God, in his boundless love and power, might actually be gently, lovingly inviting you to do something bold, audacious, and profoundly miraculous. Remember the story of Peter, who was huddled in the boat with the other disciples during a furious, life-threatening storm, and he saw Jesus, unbelievably, walking on the tumultuous water. Everyone else in the boat stayed put, paralyzed by fear, overwhelmed by doubt, clinging to the perceived safety of the vessel. But Peter, in a breathtaking moment of pure, audacious, spirit-led faith, dared to question whether the impossible might actually be God's will all along, whether the supernatural was truly available to him. He bravely asked, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." And he only walked on water, defied the laws of nature when he stepped out of the boat, when he chose to act on that divine invitation, when he refused to let fear disguised as wisdom hold him back. He overcame the very fear that masqueraded as caution. What impossible thing, my dear friend, might God be inviting you to do right now in this very season, that your wisdom, that cautious, fearful voice is telling you to avoid, to shrink back from? It's time now more than ever to lean into that divine invitation, to step into the unknown with courage. Is a beautiful contradiction, a profound paradox that truly unlocks overflowing abundance and breakthrough in your life. Sometimes your greatest, most significant barrier to experiencing absolutely everything God has lovingly prepared for you is refusing to celebrate yourself until the miracle, the breakthrough, is completely, perfectly finished. We often, in our human tendency, hold back our joy, our gratitude, our acknowledgement of even small progress until we see the final, complete outcome. We fall into the trap of thinking, "I'll celebrate when I get the job, when the contract is signed," or "I'll finally be truly happy when I'm completely, perfectly healed." But this mindset profoundly actually works against the very flow of blessing, against the current of divine favor. It stifles the very atmosphere of grace. Think about the poignant, heartwarming story of the prodigal son. When he was still a long way off, utterly broken, weary, and smelling of pigs, his father, full of overwhelming love, saw him. And what did he do? He didn't wait for his son to get cleaned up, to offer a perfect explanation for his foolish choices, or to try and earn his way back into favor. He didn't wait for him to have it all together, to be completely perfect. No, the father, overcome with love, ran with open arms to embrace him, threw a huge, spontaneous celebration, and rejoiced with an overwhelming, unconditional love that defied all logic. Why? Because true, divine love rejoices in return, in reconciliation, in relationship, not in perfection or flawless performance. God's heart, my dear one, is precisely the same. He celebrates you in the process, in the midst of your journey, even in your messy moments. He celebrates your brave, often trembling steps of faith, your willingness to return to Him again and again, your beautiful growth, however small it may seem. He doesn't wait for you to be perfect. He celebrates you where you are. Embracing this profound principle, celebrating yourself and the goodness of God manifesting in your life even before the full miracle perfectly manifests, creates an atmosphere of contagious joy and deep gratitude that actually miraculously invites even more overflow, more blessing, more divine intervention. So before this precious day gracefully draws to a close, before the sun dips below the horizon, I want to challenge you, to dare you with every fiber of your being, to fully agree with heaven's resounding celebration over you. God is actively celebrating you right now, in this very moment, and it's time for you to align your heart, your spirit, and your words with that divine truth. Take a deep, soul-cleansing breath. Allow the oxygen to fill your lungs and declare this truth out loud with unwavering conviction, letting the words resonate from the deepest part of your being. God, I fully receive the uncontainable joy you're releasing over my life. I choose, from this moment forward, to walk as one already chosen, one already favored, not one still anxiously waiting to be chosen, still hoping for favor. This isn't just a nice thought, a fleeting sentiment. It's a powerful identity-shifting declaration that dramatically shifts your identity, your core belief, and your entire perspective. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are chosen, beloved beyond measure. You are not waiting for favor. You are favored, wrapped in God's lavish grace. If this word, if any part of this intimate conversation, stirred something deep, something resonant and true within your spirit, something that truly resonated with the deepest longings of your heart, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it forward with someone you know, someone you love, who might desperately need to hear this message of hope and truth today. And I'd love, truly love, to hear from you. Comment below with your heart's authentic response. What spoke to you the most? What profound truth settled deep within you? Or what you're choosing to bravely release from your life today? Tonight, before you lay your precious head down to sleep, before the quiet of the night envelops you, I want you to say this simple yet incredibly powerful prayer. Let it be the very last, unwavering thought on your mind, the final declaration before slumber. I release all fear. I release all doubt. I step boldly into my divine purpose, and I trust with every fiber of my being that my miracle is already definitively on its way, already manifesting in the unseen. Believe it, receive it, and step boldly, courageously into the incredible, favored life that God has lovingly, meticulously prepared just for you.